Thanks, Linda.
Okay.
Take it away.
Well, my name is Linda Biggs. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Joni. And Joni is a 21st century period care brand. Now, I want you to imagine that you're sitting on a toilet in a public restroom and you reach over to grab some toilet paper and the roll is empty. Oh shit, right? This is what happens to 86% of people who menstruate. The problem is that the solutions for commercial period care is outdated, commoditized, and inequitable. If you've ever walked into a washroom and needed to use period care dispensers, you know how low the bar is when it comes to this experience. They're either out of order, broken, or you just don't have the right change. And the feminine hygiene industry in general is just lagging behind, especially in Canada, on innovation. So why does this matter? 86% of people who menstruate are caught off guard. 37% of those people will then leave school and work to find a solution. So just like that example of you sitting on the toilet, reaching over to grab some toilet paper, that happens to people who menstruate several times a year. And the current solutions are plastic-based and they haven't changed in over 30 years. So we are seeing some tailwinds in this industry on why it's perfect time for Joni. 26% of the population menstruates, yet period care, especially sustainable period care, is not accessible. And over 96%, 96 million people in Canada and the US is who's impacted. In Canada, labor codes have just recently changed. So on December 15th, all federally regulated organizations are now going to be required to provide free pads and tampons to their workers, just like toilet paper. And we're seeing these labor laws change state by state in the US. In addition to that, non-federally regulated organizations are moving in this direction because bringing in sustainable period care hits many of the UN sustainability goals, specifically 4 of them. And organizations are looking for ways to support more equitable workplaces for their DEI initiatives. So introducing Joni's turnkey solutions. We have 2 patent pending dispensers and we offer plastic-free pads and tampons. So we have the hardware, the products, and we combine that for a commercial subscription solution for organizations. The value we bring with our products is that we have innovative, sustainable, and accessible products. So inclusivity is a big new term when it comes to feminine hygiene or period care because not all women menstruate and not everyone who menstruates is a woman. And so right now, all the branding is very hyper feminine. So inclusivity is a really big key aspect in this industry. Sustainability, we've all seen what's the impacts of climate change. So being able to have a lower carbon footprint is really important for many organizations. And accessibility, we're seeing labor codes change. We're seeing a lot of momentum in the space that period care should be made available just like toilet paper. And in Canada, innovation really lacks when it comes to period care. In the US, the UK, India, they have multiple options for, say, cups and pads. In Canada, we're actually quite limited for our options. For example, Joni is the only disposable period care brand on retail shelves, and it's 2023. So our traction with B2B to date in this channel is we've sold over 1,000 dispensers to organizations, including municipalities, airports, universities, co-working spaces. We've made $250,000 in revenue to date over the last 2 years. And since last year and this year, we have seen a 300% channel growth. So there is lots of momentum in this category and we only see it increasing. So how we're different compared to the other B2B options. So there's a couple different options. Hospico, Kimberly-Clark are like the big international players. Frost is a Canadian brand, and they really focus on the hardware, and some of them have products, but they're not sustainability focused, and they're not taking a multi-channel approach. So Joni really sets ourselves up to be the only option, especially the only Canadian option that's offering all 4 areas: hardware, products, the sustainability factor, and a multi-channel approach. And so the multi-channel approach is actually a huge opportunity for us. So we're the only brand that sits in this access where we offer sustainable options to both organizations in the B2B channel, but also to retailers and directly to consumers. And our multi-channel approach really allows us to hit our mission of sustainable period care everywhere. We want joni to be synonymous with menstruation and periods in Canada. And our B2B channel with our dispensers allows us to get joni products into people's hands. And considering this is such a trust-based product, that's an important first step for us to then retarget folks and help them understand more about the brand and convert them in other channels. So our traction to date in our multi-channel is 300 subscribers online. These are long-term recurring subscribers who buy joni month over month. And we're in over 620 retailers across Canada, including London Drugs and Whole Foods Market. And again, we're the only Canadian disposable period care brand on retail shelves, which is a huge selling point for us. So our revenue projections over the last year, we've grown significantly, and we know that our B2B channel has huge opportunities for growth. So we see in 2024 and 2025, significant growth projections in all channels. So our path to profitability, we are currently profitable as of this year, and we have a really solid profit margin of 65% and a contribution margin after shipping in our give back policy, which I'll talk about in a minute, is sitting at 45%. And so part of our mission is to make sustainable period care accessible to everyone who needs it. And so with that, we have a 5% give back model. So we work with hundreds of nonprofit organizations across the country who both need donations, but also have their own budgets to then purchase this product for their communities. So to date, we have donated over 115,000 products, have built really great relationships with these nonprofit partners, and have supported over 80,000 menstrual cycles. So what we're looking for is a $1 million safe using a 10 million post-money cap at an 85% discount rate. And we've got some big projects that we want to do. So our Model V, which is the unit that you see in the screen, it currently costs us $400 to produce, and we sell it at a retail price for $650. We're currently working on bringing that cost down to $60 using a mold injection and also moving that manufacturing to Canada. So this is providing commercial dispensers at scale for a really solid margin. We want to make some key hires in that channel because we're seeing a lot of growth in that channel. We've also really want to focus on reusable products. So not only the disposable side, but providing a full option and a full range of products with patented innovation in cups and underwear. And on our retail growth channel, eventually going into major grocery chains, we're going to have to pay expensive listing fees if we want to hit those doors. So that is part of our strategy for 2024 and 2025. And then big brand and marketing, digital marketing for brand partnerships. So our team, we're small, but we're mighty, and have myself and Jayesh, my co-founder, and then we have 3 team members that cover content, our retail sales, and our operations manager. Really appreciate you taking the time to listen. We are really proud of the progress that we've made in the last 2 years, and we're really looking for partners who believe in our mission, our impact, and brand, and really invite you to be part of that journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. All right.
What was I for time on this one? Because this was like...
That was super short. You were 6 minutes.
Really? Oh, man. Okay. I thought it was
You
like
had
at
triple
12.
the amount of time to go almost. Or double.
Okay.
Oh, too funny.
All right. Who wants to kick it off? David, you're at the top of my screen. Oh,
Okay.
Brian.
Go ahead, David. I go first all the time. You go ahead.
Not breaking your ritual on me, Brian, if I don't let you go
Oh,
first.
I'm slightly cognitively flexible. It's okay.
I was going to ask you one of my questions. I think you answered it, Linda, and that's you're currently manufacturing in Victoria?
So we're currently manufacturing overseas.
Overseas? And so they manufacture on your spec, and you buy in batch or in bulk?
What's the difference between batch and bulk?
A batch is much smaller. You know, they do a batch, 3 months at a time or 6 months at a time, and otherwise you'd be ordering a year at a time. And I guess that really depends on where you are in your volume.
Yeah. It's a good question. We kind of, I think, do both. So we're currently working with Staples actually to close a big offering with a big large organization, and so that would be a batch run for that specific organization. We're talking about over 2,000 items, but we would then do bulk runs because we want to have inventory for the other sales that we have. So I think it might be a combination of both, but we can do both with our supplier.
Okay, it was a very good presentation, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
The other question I have is, you're kind of, a lot of companies go and manufacture overseas to get a less expensive product, and you're bringing it to Canada. So what is the thinking that it's going to be less expensive, or does that not matter?
Yeah, it is less expensive. I think the big cost is always the initial. So will be our third version of our dispenser, of our Model V. So what we've learned in the first two versions was that a metal dispenser is very expensive. And so we are actually moving to a plastic mold injection. It's actually like more sturdier, much lighter, easier to mount on the wall. And so we're developing that mold internationally, and then we're bringing that mold to Canada. And even with all the labor costs, that will still be much more affordable. And the story is actually a really good selling point for us because a lot of businesses are looking to buy Canadian. So then that allows us to support that. And manufacturing in Canada, we always get asked that question, do you manufacture your pads and tampons in Canada? And my answer to that is, I really wish we could, but the capital cost to that is so intensive, and Canada doesn't necessarily do a really great job with supporting manufacturing. So not yet is basically what we're saying.
And who's going to be managing? Will the building owners own staff be managing the units in the buildings?
It's a combination. It depends on how they set things up. So for example, the Victoria Airport has an internal facilities team that manages all of their units. So they would do it. But we work with TransStar, Busy Bee, Be Clean, Alpine, a lot of the janitorial facilities, because they're already in the bathroom. So we're leveraging their network. And so we can then let new customers know, like, who do you use? We work with them, they order products through us, and they're managing it internally in the washrooms.
Okay, very good. One last quick question. What was the kernel of wisdom that made you see this as an opportunity? Like what manifested itself that you realized, oh, this is a big opportunity in Canada?
I think it was a lot of serendipitous pivots and learning opportunities that came together. We launched as a direct-to-consumer company, and we were being approached by nonprofit partners because of our social impact mission, and they were asking us, can they buy in bulk? And so then we got more and more into this idea of, like, why don't we focus on the bulk side and the wholesale side? And then through that, we just found a lot of problems in that space, especially with the distribution side and the dispensers. And we thought we could do a better job here. As a natural consumer, I had realized I had menstruated over 300 times in my life. And I resonated more with a shoe brand or a water bottle company than I did with a period care brand. And I asked my friends, and they said, I don't resonate with any of them too. And I thought, what an opportunity for a very intimate process that happens every month to develop a brand that actually stands for something and it's not commoditized. So with everything that we do with Joni, we're really looking at driving that brand forward through that innovation and through that idea. And so there's no like one easy answer for that. It was more of just like a continuous process of evolving and figuring out what works and what doesn't. Oh, I can't hear you, David. Barely.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I guess your mic is acting up after all. Okay, Brian, you're ready to go next?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Linda, that was, I think, 9.5 out of 10, to be honest.
Yay. Okay.
You are an excellent speaker. You speak very clearly. You present, I look at decks till I'm blue in the face. This is one of the nicest decks I've seen. you know, you're very careful to put on relevant information, but not too much. So your slides are very digestible. You know, I think a common failing of a lot of pitches is too much information on each slide. I call it death by bullet.
Yeah.
So you know, frankly, excellent on all fronts. You led with a story, you finished with an ask. I really do think you're onto something. You know, you covered, I think 95% of the touch points that sort of popped into my head as you were speaking. I do want to ask, I don't want to monopolize time because Mary deserves equal time here. But it seems to me that at Cannes, we've heard other people pitch with sort of, you know, social impact based products, good for the environment products. David, maybe you can help me, but I do remember seeing one in the past year or two. So I guess what I'm getting at in a wordy sort of way is just the competition side. I really like the angle you're taking. You know, even your choice of name is brilliant. You know, it reminds me of Nick's, which is just down the street from me. You know, short, easy to remember. But what I didn't get with your competition slide is you kind of had ant flow like up higher, and I wasn't
Going to
clear.
go back to that.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, this one?
Yeah, so you're saying, what are you saying, that ant flow's more B2B, or like I didn't quite get your competitive advantage there?
Right. So I think so I was told in terms of feedback in the last presentations, and something I really try to work on with this presentation was trying to sum up the opportunity here with the multi-channel approach, because I think that was missing in a lot of presentations. So what I wanted to showcase on this slide was like how we're stack up in the B2B channel specifically. And so this shows, like, you know, Joni hits all of these points, but we also do more. And so then in this slide, it's like, well, in this bigger picture, Antflow only does B2B. They're not even touching retail and D2C. And then because you're right, there is a lot of competition coming on the market. D2C is a very easy channel to enter. You can, you know, but it's a very difficult one to succeed at. And so what I wanted to show here was how we are taking this multi-channel approach as our moat and driving the brand that way. So that's really good feedback. I don't know if I can think through it a little bit differently to make it more clear.
No, I think that I'm going quickly because I know we're time restricted here, but I think it's actually a brilliant approach. Can you go back one slide?
Yeah.
Put yourself at the top. Why aren't you at the bottom?
Right. I just,
you know what I mean?
Think about
you can give the same information, but put Joni on top. It's just a visual thing, just a little.
No, that's perfect.
What else you've got? You know, you're obviously creating a brand. I might elaborate a little bit on why your product, just more elements of your product, why it's more sustainable, good for the environment. You know, you mentioned plastic, and of course everybody goes, "Oh, plastic." So you know, maybe a bit of the biodegradable elements and stuff. But I'll shut up, and I would say that was excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, Mary, over to you.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was a fabulous pitch, honestly. So you covered, you know, one thing I didn't hear was, why did you name it Joni? Was there a story behind Joni?
I'm a Joni Mitchell fan.
Thing.
I'm a Joni Mitchell fan. She's a Canadian singer-songwriter. She's, you know, spearheaded her. So it basically was, and it wasn't taken, and it was available, and it was short, and it was sticky, and it looked beautiful with font. So that was essentially all the elements I was looking for.
Okay, very good. I didn't know if it had any kind of, you know, indentation. It could be joni, it could be, you know, whatever.
We found out afterwards. I actually didn't know this, but yoni is means like womb in Sanskrit. So it's like a lot of people think it's yoni, but it's actually Joni.
Okay, excellent. And I think, you know, are you planning to have these dispensers in both traditional male and traditional female washrooms?
Well, we didn't go out seeking that, but I mean, we're obviously a very inclusive company, but I was actually just on a call with an airport authority, and they are bringing it in for both male and female washrooms.
that could be part of
Yeah.
your pitch, right? That,
Yeah.
you know, you're addressing a unique market, right? So,
Yeah.
and making it, you're really helping to define accessibility in this area.
Right.
But yeah, you're, I mean, very strong. I will comment on the ant flow as well. When I looked at your, you know, how we're different, because ant flow offers everything but multi-channel, I'd spend more time on that, because the other ones, you can see that they're not almost there, right? But then, and then when flow shows up in the top quadrant with you, I think it's important to really differentiate yourself. I think that's a great point as well. And obviously, you know, you're doing well. Your growth is there. This is, you know, fabulous. So, and I've been there too without toilet paper in bathrooms. I get it. and dispensers as well. So I think most women will get it, and most men. I like the analogy you made as it relates to toilet paper, because I think everybody gets that. So,
Yes.
Lovely job. Yeah, excellent. Really nice to meet you, and I'm thrilled for you. I think this is a great, great story, great potential.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really great feedback.
That's super. Well, we have a few minutes if anybody has any wrap-up comments. Brian or David, or
why'd you pick a safe?
It's what we've done to date, and it's worked well for us. It's quick. We can collect money before it closes. It just allows us to move faster.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You know, it's as you know, a Y Combinator idea, and it is quick and easy. I mean, David, please chime in here, and Mary too. I think there's some pushback from investors because we kind of feel that it exists in the never land between equity and debt. It's basically an agreement, and I've been, you know, I'm just giving you anecdotal stuff here, Linda, but you know, I've been privy to a number of companies where you start to get serial safes. And then, you know, good luck on figuring out the dilution on those. And then VCs, when they see stacked safes, kind of go, no thanks. So anyway, minor point. I understand why you do it, but just a point.
And can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I fixed it. Wow, that's really good. Again, super presentation. What is in your mind if one of these larger companies, like I look at a Kimberly-Clark and P&G, I mean, they have huge resources. Do you have any trepidation in terms of if your brand is strong enough and out there enough that you'll win the day?
Yeah, so I think that's an issue in most areas, but P&G, they're battleships, right? They are slow to move. We are talking about an industry that has been antiquated for a very long time. Like, products have not changed for over 30 years. So I think the opportunity is actually an acquisition more so. And I think that is what we would essentially be looking at, because we cover all of the multi-channel. We're the only brand that is multi-channel currently. So
that could be an exit. That could be an exit strategy.
I think there's an opportunity for that for sure.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
okay.
I love Joni Mitchell, by the way.
Oh, good. Yeah, actually, it's funny because my mom's Mexican. I grew up in Mexico. You can never tell because my dad's Canadian, and I got all of his Canadian features. But I didn't grow up with Joni Mitchell. And my husband, my mother-in-law, I lived with them for a year, and she's a huge Joni Mitchell fan. And so every day we would have dinner. We'd be making dinner together, and she'd be playing Joni Mitchell. And she is just so nostalgic for me. That is like my connection to it. It's unfortunately not my name, but it's a good name in my mind.
Let's
get her involved in the brand.
I've reached out to her a couple times, but like obviously she doesn't menstruate anymore, and she's she's always said like she's never been she's never considered herself a feminist, but she's obviously led the way in so many different areas for women in the space. But maybe one day, you never know.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you all. I really appreciate it. I'm going to stop sharing here.